All right. Hi, everyone. We'll give everybody a little bit of time to come in here. Awesome. Welcome. Great. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth. I'm one of the educators at the Science Center. And today we have a special guest from Discover Cayuga Lake, who's going to talk to us about the trout. So if you have been to our Science Center recently, you may have seen that we have some really small fish kind of in the front area, and those are some young trout. They started off as eggs that we have been raising as part of the Trout in the Classroom project. And now we are preparing to release those trout in the next couple of weeks. And so Marina is going to tell us a little bit more about trout biology. So can everyone see my screen? Hopefully you're all viewing my screen here. And before we jump in, I'm going to give you just a few tips on using Zoom so that we are all set and ready to go. I'm going to turn it over to Marina, who's going to tell us a little bit about trout.
All right, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So I work for Discover Cayuga Lake, which is an organization that runs a variety of programs related to our lake. So you can see on the screen here, we have eco cruises, we have a floating classroom, and we have trout in the classroom. All right, and we're going to focus on our trout in the classroom program today. And the Science Center is part of that right now. We have some trout in our classrooms around the area, as far-reaching as Union Springs, South Seneca, the Ithaca City School District, and also like Watkins Glen, so it's not even just our lake. All right, you can go ahead and switch the slide, Elizabeth. So looking at our trout, when they came to the Science Center, they started out in an egg form. You'll see that at the top of the page. And then they grew a yolk sac when they hatched. It's the next one down. Then they started swimming up out of the little hatch basket we had them in. And they are now in their fingerling stage at the bottom here. And you can see on Emily's screen, if you look, there's the trout swimming around. All right, so we're gonna
did anyone visit the Science Center and see our trout when they were just little eggs? I see some nodding, some hands raised. Awesome. So yeah, so some of you guys have seen these trout grow from eggs all the way up to the little fingerlings where they are now. So that's awesome.
That's great. All right. So we're going to look today at colors and markings. And we actually have a pretty fun activity for you guys. I don't know if everyone saw and printed, but we have this little worksheet. I'm holding it up. So we're going to get to look at that a little bit later. If you don't have a worksheet, don't worry. We can always try to draw a trout outline or something.
I just put the worksheet in the chat. So if you would like to go print it off now, you can do that. But yes, like Marina said, if we don't have that worksheet, you can also just draw your own outline of a fish, and that'll work.
It's literally just a fish. All right, awesome. You can switch the slide, Elizabeth. All right, so we're going to talk about how animals use colors to hide when they're in the environment, right? So they're going to use colors and markings as a way to camouflage, right? So we're looking at the slide here. There's 3 different types of camouflage that an animal can use. There's concealing camouflage, confusing camouflage, and counter shading. All right, so I want to use a little bit of participation here. Can anyone tell me what you think concealing camouflage is based on looking at that polar bear?
I think the deer is using concealing camouflage because it can still see and it's camouflaged.
Oh, awesome. So looking at the deer, okay. Any other ideas? All right, no worries. We can hear from you later too. So concealing camouflage is shown really well with the polar bear. It's going to be a coloration where the animal and the environment are the same color. Okay, so if you're looking at your polar bear, the polar bear is white and its environment behind it where it lives is also white. Okay, you can also see it on the deer, right? So the fawn is brown and the background is kind of a brown. So a lot of animals use this where they'll use the same color, right, as their environment. So that's going to be concealing camouflage, right? Confusing camouflage is really shown nicely on this fawn. If you look, it has these dots going down its back, right? And so that is going to confuse a predator when it's looking. So when you're trying to find the fawn, it's a lot easier to find your fawn when it's moving, right, than when it's stationary. Because when it's stationary, those spots on its back make it really confusing for the animal to find where the fawn is. Anybody have any questions about that? Any ideas? That's a little hard on Zoom. All right, well, we'll move on. And then counter shading, our third one, is really demonstrated nicely with this hawk. All right, that's a red-tailed hawk. And you can see if you were underneath the hawk and looking up, it's white, right? And if you think about clouds or the sun, if you're looking above, if you're looking from the ground up, it might be really hard to see that hawk, okay? And if you're down, if you're above the hawk looking down, it's gonna be that brown-red color, which is gonna, if you look outside, it's a lot like a forest environment, potentially, right? Around here. So then you can see when you're above your hawk looking down, it's gonna look like the forest. All right, we can also see that in water, in deep water. If you guys ever thought about a shark, right? The shark is gonna be really dark on the top because the water is dark towards the surface. And then it's gonna be really light on the bottom because if you're underneath looking up, it's gonna look silvery reflecting of the sun. All right, awesome. We're gonna switch the slide. Oh, yep. All right, we can click again. There we go. All right, so here we have our trout. All right, so we can see exactly what our trout are looking like. Does anyone see there's this picture off to the side here? Actually, Elizabeth has her mouse on it right now. There's a bunch of trout in that picture. You guys see that? All those trout. Are they using camouflage to hide? All right, yeah, so.
I see some nods.
Awesome. So if we go up towards the top of our page, right under where it says camouflage, you can see that fingerling trout has some kind of airplane shaped little like airplane windows on its side, right? You can also see it on the other side. Those are called par marks. And they're your trout using some concealing camouflage, right? So, or sorry, confusing camouflage. The concealing is the color. So your par marks are going to be a confusing camouflage for a predator. If you think about water when it's moving, and then you have kind of light coming onto the water, that confusing par mark is going to make the fish swimming in the water look a lot like the water movement with the light on it. All right, makes it really difficult for predators to find. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Things they're noticing? If you look at the picture on the left of your screen, you can see that the trout are pretty much the same color as their environment, right? That's going to be a concealing camouflage feature. Everyone see that? I see some nods.
Show me, Mommy. Excuse me. Do you know if any trout live in the Arctic? And they like kind of blend in with the blue water?
Great question. Well, trout don't live in the ocean, so they're not going to live in the Arctic Ocean, but trout do live in very cold water like you would find in a stream near the Arctic. All right, so if you think about the water up there being really blue, yeah, if you're thinking about fresh water, it's very possible you would find a trout up there. Good question.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
Do trout ever come onto land?
Great question. No, trout are going to be only in the water. They have to survive in the water. They breathe through gills that they have on their sides. The way that we breathe air, they breathe water. So they would actually die. They would suffocate if they tried to be on land. All right, great. I think we can move on. All right. Here's some camouflage this trout is using. What do you guys think? Is it using concealing, confusing, or counter shading camouflage?
Can mud skipper fish spend their entire life on land? Because I heard they can go on land.
Oh, that's true. There are some fish that can go on land, but it's a particular type of fish like those, and they have to have the ability to breathe air, which is very rare. All right? Like a mud puppy, I think you're thinking of.
So Trey and Corinne have said that they think there's some counter shading going on with these trout.
Awesome. I would agree, right? The underside looks like a different color than the top. You guys see that pattern? I think that's pretty confusing. All those dots. All right, awesome. I don't want to spend too long on this, so let's go to the next slide. Oop, I don't know what's happening now.
Ooh, so it's just showing that all of them are possible. All right,
Yay.
awesome.
All right, here's another one. All right. Is anyone sharing ideas? No?
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, now to me, this one looks like it's very similar to the color of the water in the background. So I feel like this one maybe would be some concealing, what it looks like to me.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it might be using counter shading too, right? Like a shark, you're gonna have the dark top and the light bottom, like I was talking about. See that? All right. You can switch the slide. Click a couple times. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is super cool. Our trout can actually change color. So this fish could be the same fish. It's the same type, it's a rainbow trout, but it could be the very same fish. If it went between a lake and a stream, it would actually change over a period of a few weeks from looking like that silvery fish on the right to that yellow and orange fish with spots on the left. That's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Oops. All right. Did that sink in? That fish can change color. All right. So we're going to look here. Elizabeth saw you switch our slide. So we can see if you click a couple times, there's more info. There we go. You can see, right? There's this cell inside your fish where the pigment is, and that's going to shrink and grow as your trout sees visual cues in its environment about the color. All right, so if it's in a lake and it's seeing this dark and silvery water, it's going to start to look dark and silvery as its cells catch up and the pigment changes. Then when it's in a stream and it's seeing brighter, like yellowy, greeny colors, it's going to start to look those colors. It's going to change its appearance so it matches its environment. All right. Great. So we have an activity for you guys today. We have a sheet you can see. Yeah, you can go back, Elizabeth. That's fine. Yeah, that one's fine. We have a sheet here, right, that has a trout on it.
Are you staying home?
If you don't have a trout, that's okay. You can have a piece of paper and you can draw an outline of a fish. Doesn't have to look good. Trust me, I'm a terrible drawer. But we can make an environment for our fish to live in, and then we can color it to fit that environment.
You have so much hair on you.
All right, so these are just some ideas you can see. We'll talk more about the drawing in a second. You can switch the slide. Now, here's another idea that somebody else drew. All right, great. Well, that ends our presentation. We're going to do a drawing activity in a minute, but thank you all for listening to me.
All right, now you guys are going to get a chance to draw your own trout. So if you have your drawing sheet like we showed, or if you want to draw your own fish outline, that's fine too. But now we're going to find the screen that has our trout at the Science Center. So Emily is at the Science Center right now with our trout. So I'm going to have her say hello, and we'll see if we can find the screen with those fish. Let's see here. Uh-oh, did we lose our fish? Where are our fish? Oh, no, there. Okay, so if you find Emily Bell, she's going to say hello to you.
Hi, guys. I'm here at the Science Center with our brown trout fingerlings.
Awesome.
Trying to hold the camera steady for you, but I apologize for the shakiness.
Awesome. So now you can go to the 3 little dots in the upper corner of that screen, Emily's screen, where you can see all the fish, and you can click pin video. And that way, even if when people ask questions, you will just see the trout screen. And so you can see what they look like. And so you could draw those trout, or you could make up a trout of your own that might live in a different environment. Because if you look at these guys and we're looking at the bottom of their tank and the things that they might be trying to camouflage into their environment, you can draw what you see, or you can make up a new environment where you might find a fish and draw what you might see there. Uh-oh, let's see, we lost our fish.
There they are.
I think they're there.
All right.
I'm going to try to give you all a view from the top so we can get a feel for that counter shading. Squeaky. So it's much harder to see our trout looking from above. They blend in really nicely with that gravel at the bottom. I'm starting to see what Marina meant by confusing camouflage. As they move, all those par marks help. But then when I go down, we can see from the bottom, they're much lighter, right? So if you're looking up towards the light, they become trickier to see.
Nice. And just to say quickly with the par marks, those go away as the fish get older. So in their fingerling stage right now, if you look at those trout, they're pretty big. They're going to be a little bit bigger than a finger. We call them fingerling when they're about the size of a finger. All right. But when they grow to be adults, they're going to gradually lose those par marks, and they're going to be a little bit easier to spot. They'll have less confusing camouflage because they're bigger and they can swim faster, and they're not as much going to be targeted by other fish looking for prey.
All right, now while you guys are working on your trout drawings, we do have Marina, our trout expert, here. So if you have any questions about trout, you can type them in the chat or ask them here. Let's see, someone said, what are the fingerling trout's biggest fears for predators? That was from Gavin.
Good question. So actually, probably other trout. Bigger trout in the streams are going to be looking for food right about now. And a young trout is going to look like great food. All right. But also birds, many bird species and also other large fish or larger fish.
All right, and Ajuni is noticing that the fish are very brown.
Yeah, great. So as you guys are drawing, I want you to realize that this environment, however you're drawing your fish, you just want to be fitting it into an environment. It doesn't have to be related to a stream or even what your other fish look like. All right? So I have some examples if anyone wants to see them. I don't know if anyone can see me because right now we have the video pinned.
Yeah, if you want to see some examples of wacky trout that live in atypical environments, you can move away from our trout video and take a look at Marina's screen. She has some fun ideas of what trout might look like to counter shade and camouflage in a non-lake or stream environment.
All right, so if you're looking at me, I'm holding up a trout that was drawn earlier. And it's got kind of bookshelf feature on it. All right, so maybe it would live in a library or something. You guys see that? How it could camouflage into a library with all those books? Great. And I also have this one. It's kind of fun. This would live in a Lego bin. Does everyone see those Legos on the top? All these Legos here, right? And you can see on the bottom, there's some red. So if you think about a Lego bin, it's mostly yellow with some red along the top, right? The top is red. So if you're underneath your trout, you're gonna see the red top. And if you're above your trout, you're gonna see the yellow and the Legos. Pretty cool. You can do all sorts of crazy things with your trout drawing.
So you all can design a trout and we can try to guess what environment that trout would live in based on its coloration or camouflage.
Does anyone have a trout drawing that they've been working on that they would like to show? If not, you're welcome to keep working. If anyone had one already, I'd love to show it off. See, it looks like Ajuni is raising their hand. Do you have a question?
Drawing to share?
Oh, a drawing to share. Ah, all right. So you've got
you want to tell us about it?
You can share yours in a minute.
Ajuni, do you want to share and tell us about your purple trout?
Well, I didn't add a design yet.
Okay, you haven't added a design yet. Got it.
Awesome. Well, it's a good outline. It's a good start.
All right. It looks like Julie is sharing.
Ooh, nice.
Awesome. Ooh,
Somebody
Virginia
talk about
is
theirs?
sharing theirs. Yeah, you want to?
That's Vaughn's drawing.
Ah, all right. Can you tell us about this trout? Where does it? Well, what should we know about this trout so we can guess where it might live?
It has a small tail.
It has a small tail. All right.
What is the environment like that it's swimming in?
It's swimming in sand.
Oh, your trout swims through sand. That's an interesting one.
That's cool. I see some spots. I wonder if that's what the spots are for, to camouflage.
Yep.
Awesome.
Actually attached to the trout.
Ah, so you got all those spots and the sand is attached to the trout. Awesome. Thank you for
Great.
sharing.
Thanks.
I'm done with my trout fish.
Oh yeah? Does yours have a design now?
Yeah, it has lines on it.
Ah, and where does your trout live?
It lives in the desert.
Oh, okay.
What are the lines for?
And the lines are for so they don't get so hot.
Ah, interesting. So yours has a different adaptation, maybe not just for camouflage, but also
And
to...
these are the wings.
Ooh, so it's a flying trout too. Awesome. Anybody else have a trout drawing they'd like to share?
Or if you're not quite ready to share your drawing, you could tell us what environment your fish is going to camouflage in.
I see Jacob and Jerome have a hand up.
This is my fish.
Ooh, awesome. Where does your fish live?
In a tree. So it like camouflages with its lines because trees have detail on it. So the fish has detail too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can see, I feel like if that fish was in a tree, it would be really hard to see. That's great. Let's see, Trey and Corinne say that they have a fish in water. So I wonder what their fish looks like if it lives in the water.
On a tree there. It's this tree. Don't look at my fish. Don't look at my fish, John.
Hey, Jacob and Jerome, if you're done sharing, you want to mute yourselves?
All right, Trey and Corinne, if your fish is in water, can you share with us what it might look like? Oh, you have to unmute. There you go.
We're not done yet.
You're not done yet. Okay, well, you can definitely take some more time to work. That's fine. If you want
Guys, I think I'm going to say goodbye.
all right,
You're gonna go, Waro?
share with us later. You can keep working on your trout drawing, and then you can take a picture of it and share that picture on our Facebook page, because we would love to see all of your trout when you finish them, and then we can all try to guess where your trout might be from, where it might live. Let's see, I think I saw Gavin was holding something up a little bit ago. Do you have something you want to share? Not yet? Okay, you guys are still working, that's fine. You guys, we got a lot of artists here. You guys are working hard. That's awesome. All right, let's see. Jacob and Jerome, do you guys want to share again? Oh, you have to unmute yourselves.
My brother wants to show his.
Awesome, let's see it. Ooh, that one's very colorful. Where does it live?
In a rainbow. And a rainbow trout. It's a rainbow trout.
It's a literal rainbow trout that lives in a rainbow.
Lives in the rainbow sea.
Ah, awesome. All right, I see someone else raising a hand, but it's just labeled iPhone.
My trout lives in a tree.
Wow, we've got another
Oh,
trout in
yeah.
a tree. Awesome. Yeah, I see that those colors. Looks like it would have some good concealing camouflage. Awesome.
I like your trout outline too. Good creativity.
All right, well, we have time. If anyone has any last minute questions for Marina, we have time for probably one more question, and then we'll let you guys keep working, and you can always share those drawings and colorings with us on our Facebook page. Anybody have a last question for Marina? Junie, would you like to ask your question?
Where is the Facebook page?
So if your grown-ups helped you get set up with this activity today, then they found this link on the Facebook page. And so your grown-up might have to help you to go to our Facebook page to be able to share your pictures. Ooh, I see Trey and Corinne are sharing their trout now. Awesome.
You can also email images of your pictures directly to info@sciencecenter.org. Elizabeth will type that email address in the chat. And I wanted to let you know that we'll be setting our live stream camera up to show these fingerling brown trout for the next couple of days. So if you want to check in with our trout, you can go to youtube.com and search for Science Center and click on the live stream feed. So if you need some inspiration to continue your drawings, make sure to check that out. And next week on Wednesday, we will be releasing some of these trout into our local waterways to make their way to Cayuga Lake. So I hope you'll join us for that as well.
I also want to say, if you want to learn more about trout, we have a blog that we can link to, hopefully through the Science Center Facebook for Discover Cayuga Lake. And then you can find out more about trout and you can ask us questions either through Discover Cayuga Lake's Facebook or through our blog. So that's also an option. Check out.
All right, thank you everyone so much for joining us. And I hope that we'll see you tomorrow as well.